I'm Ryan with Fielding Tree Care. I'm one of our certified arborists on staff, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the Austrian pines. So here I have a nice little branch sample. We'll start off with pines compared to maybe spruce or fir trees have their needles found in bundles or fascicles, to use a fancy word. This particular species, the Austrian pine, has needles in groupings or bundles of 2. Sometimes you can find groupings of 3, but most commonly 2. Pretty long needles, very flexible when you bend them. That can be a useful ID trait. Some species, they break easily when you bend, but overall, really long needles, several inches long, bundles of 2. You can look at the bark as well. That's always a useful identification characteristic. So early bark, which unfortunately these are large mature trees, so we don't have a good example, but early bark is much less scaly, much less plated, but mature bark, as you can see, develops these kind of broad plates and these deeper furrows. So scaly, broad plates and deep furrows. I often think that the bark of Austrian pines have a little bit of a reddish characteristic to them, especially in those furrows. But overall, it's sort of a medium gray with those red aspects in there. This is a really great urban tree. It does well in a variety of growing environments. Does need a little bit more water than some of our native pine species. Overall, it has, like a lot of our urban pines, it has a very upright, towering form. Gets to be a big, mature shade tree. Needs a little bit more water again. As far as pests and disease go for pines, there are several species of bark beetles in the area that can potentially go after Austrian pines. This is not the favored host species of a lot of them, which is an added benefit. But we typically do recommend treatment if there are heavy infestations nearby. Typically that looks like a canopy spray, where we target the main scaffold branches as well as the main trunk of the tree. The Ips beetle in particular is one very devastating pest that can affect these pine species. And they will typically, target those unions between the branches and the main trunk, which is why our sprays also target that area to protect where they go after. Other pests include very rarely foliar fungal issues. It's pretty dry out here in Colorado, so we don't see a lot of foliar issues with pines specifically, but they do occasionally get pine needle scale. Often that develops when you have really crowded branch structure. There's actually an Austrian pine right next to me that has a lot of interior dead accumulated and kind of crowded branching, which is just a more favorable environment for pathogens to develop, a little bit more moisture, so they're a little bit happier in those spots. And that's the Austrian pine. Thanks for watching. Follow and like on social media. That really helps our exposure, and have a nice day.